Update. Therapy made me realize what an awful person I was to my ex, and it cost me what could have been a happy marriage. Original post. I finally broke down and decided to go to therapy. Despite my ex, we'll get more into him later, heavily suggesting it over the course of our relationship. I wanted to know why I was attracted to men who mistreated me so much, but my therapist dragged me down to earth with my most recent ex. She basically laid out what I did wrong, asked why I did what I did, and described my actions as abusive, then explained how I should approach the same situation going forward. I met my ex through a friend. He was a couple of years older than me, and he graduated in the early stages of our relationship. He was so caring, coming to stay with me in the library after work just to be with me, bringing me takeout during stressful study periods, and just being there. In retrospect, I treated him like garbage. After being with so many bad exes, we had a cheater, some guys who lied about wanting a relationship just to get sex, etc. I kind of compartmentalized my feelings and would often box out the offending party. During our first couple of arguments, I would box out my ex for a couple of days to cool off. He'd text a couple of times during that period to ask when I'd be ready to talk, and we would, and things would be fine. I guess because he was so great, I unconsciously held him to a much higher standard. We were supposed to watch a movie together after my exam period, but he went with his friends instead. He offered to go again with me and promised not to spoil anything so it would feel like the first time, but I ignored him for 5 days. He would text, apologizing, and I would lash out at him. I never took any accountability for my actions. It seemed like even the smallest thing I perceived as wrong resulted in me icing him out. It all came to a head when he said that what I'm doing was stressing him out and that if I was so unhappy, I was free to leave. He wasn't going to force me to change. I promised I would. For a time, things did change. I went on an internship, so the stress of studying and tests was gone, and we had the best year of our relationship. We communicated even about the smallest things, and he became even more romantic. Even the most trivial events, like simple grocery shopping, ended up being great dates, and I was truly happy. We'd even discussed getting married when my career was stable, and he got me a silver ring engraved with our initials and my graduation date for my left ring finger. He called it a placeholder for the real thing when the time was right. Then I went back to school. The last year was so bad. My lab partners were just mean or lazy. The instructors were brutal, and I struggled with the material. My ex tried to help, but as my therapist showed me, I lash out more when I'm stressed. He came over and did the dishes, but forgot to wash the pans. I screamed at him and ignored him for a week. I noticed a change because he only texted once during that period. In hindsight, I realized he was preparing to leave. After the week was up, he brought up our previous discussion about me ignoring. I was stressed, and he didn't seem to care. My therapist said he was likely beyond angry, so I gave him lip service. At this point during our session, my therapist was blunt and told me, "You are very lucky he didn't leave you then and there." The straw that broke his back was my birthday. He had been skimping and saving for the last 6 months or so, like going to cheaper restaurants and cutting back on nights out with his friends, swapping bar nights for takeout and video games. But I didn't think he'd skimp on my birthday. He took me to a cheaper place instead of our usual steakhouse and gave me bath bombs and a basket of my favorite snacks and chocolates. I was mad and snapped at him that he could be frugal with himself or his friends, but I thought I was more important. Time flew by and I gave him the silent treatment again for 2 weeks. He didn't text once. When I called to ask him to come over and talk, all he said was, "I made the mistake of trying to change you. You should be with someone who will take you as you are. I'm done." I fired back with, "Well, I won't wait for you to come back." Lo and behold, he and all his friends and family blocked me the minute the call ended. Luckily, the friend who introduced us did not block me, so we stayed friends. When I finished that part of the story, my therapist did not hold back. She told me that I need to work on my self-importance, be more reflective on my actions and how they impact other people, manage my disappointment better, and communicate better, like asking why he was being so frugal. I've done that and came to a horrible realization that I was awful to him. My therapist made me write a list of all the things he did for me and a list of how he wronged me and got ignored, along with the length of each period. The wrong list was longer than the good list, but the good parts seemed to outweigh the bad. Then my therapist asked if I had ever considered that I was getting mad about the small things and using my ex as a whipping boy for my disappointment and frustration. At first, I thought she didn't understand, but the more I think about it, the more it sinks in, and I feel sick. I guess my ex got his revenge. I met with a friend who introduced us. We're quite close, and I cried and vented about what I told my therapist. I asked her if I appeared to be controlling and abusive. She was silent for a minute and said, "Yes, he told us everything, and the others all dislike you for what you did." She was a little angry too, and said, "Well, you know why he was being frugal?" Then she showed me his IG, a brand new iPhone, AirPods Pro, and a few video games with the caption, "Was saving up for a ring, but guess I don't need that anymore." Dodged a bullet and got an iPhone out of the deal. It really did hurt. If I had listened to him and sought therapy sooner, maybe I would be engaged to that wonderful man. Apparently, he was planning to propose at my convocation. I just don't know what to do now. I threw all of this away. I asked my friend not to inform me of his life anymore. It just hurts to think that another girl will get to experience the happiness he brought me. I pissed away the lottery winnings because I didn't know how to control my temper. I deserve this. Now for the top comments before reading the update. I had a best friend like this. She was in an emotionally abusive home. She'd hold me to a higher standard. She would stonewall me, lash out. I got fed up and cut her out. She wanted to continue being friends, but I couldn't do it. I was losing myself. She boxed me out, as you call it, for about a month. I wasn't texting her though, and I noticed I felt more peace when she was away. I decided to make it permanent. Good for you, OP, for the therapy and learning. All the best to you going forward. I think this is a phenomenon that needs more looking into. The realization that someone's absence brings peace is one of the more sobering realizations I've ever had. Living with someone during COVID and having no time to yourself kind of masks the fact that you feel terrible. Every day is a fight, almost like fight or flight, and your body just goes into survival mode. Once that feeling is lifted, even for a little while, and you look around and realize that you aren't miserable, it's almost like your fight or flight kicks in again, but only to make sure you don't feel as miserable as you have been. I've gotten no more strength, conviction, or courage than when I was in that scenario. The moment I realized it, I was already walking away from a relationship with someone I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with. Well, at least you're getting the help you need now. I wish I'd gotten it sooner. I don't think I'd find anybody that loving or patient again, based on my previous track record. You will. You have not met everyone who will love you. Thanks. At this point, I don't feel like I deserve it, to be honest. I can't believe it took 2 threats of him leaving, him actually leaving in therapy, to realize what I threw away. Edit. I want to thank everyone who commented and provided insight. Honestly, as I typed my responses, I realized how much my friend did for me. I should thank her for not leaving me during this trying time. I suspect that my ex deliberately did not give her instructions to cut me off or force her to choose between us. I don't have a lot of friends. Well, she's basically my only friend left, and he probably didn't want me to be alone. I guess that was his one last act of kindness. I wish I could go back in time and cherish that man. Sadly, he's gone. Now for the update. Since there was so much support, I guess I owe you all an update. I reached out to my friend to grab dinner and chat so I could thank her for her support. We had a nice chat, and she said what you guys said. She was happy that I was getting help. I read a lot of your responses, and quite a few of you empathized with my ex. Honestly, I never really thought about what he went through when I was ignoring him. I just knew it triggered his anxiety and he didn't like it. So I did a stupid thing and decided to ask her. First, I asked how he was doing. She asked if I really wanted to know. I did. You all said that being ignored for periods of time caused trauma. I just wanted to see if he was okay. She just showed me a group photo of them. I couldn't recognize him at all. He lost so much weight and looked fit. We were overweight while dating, but he shed his cheek fat and wore more tight-fitting clothes. Apparently, during the last time I'm icing him out, the guys got him a gym membership, and he really dove in after leaving me and has been religiously going since. I decided to ask about what I did to him. I told my friend that my therapist wants me to understand how my actions, in this case me shutting him out, affected him. What I heard made me feel even worse. Apparently, he started getting more apologetic over the smallest things. One example she gave was that he brought less food to a potluck than the others and started apologizing over and over. Then he started binge drinking sporadically. He told his friends that it was to cope with work stress, but I really know, and they all know now, that we had been fighting. One night of binge drinking, one of the other guys was commenting how he had a minor squabble with his girlfriend over not liking the notebook, and that set my ex off. He had a full-on mental breakdown and basically spilled out everything I had done to him at this point. That's when they turned on me. When I was ignoring, they would let him text me once and basically try to distract him while taking his phone away until he stopped trying to panic apologize. Then they started to tell him that he was being abused and to leave me. That was before the second time he asked me to change. They wanted him to leave me then, but he insisted that I would change. Then the final time, he agreed with them and gave them explicit instructions to block my number and delete my contact info when he gave the signal. However, he told my friend that she was free to do whatever she wanted. He said he wasn't going to destroy a friendship over his problems. Then he left, and the wall of silence came up. I wish I'd never asked. I wish I had thought about what he was going through. I had my head so far up my behind that I thought I was right, self-absorbed in my world, where he was wrong and I was right, and he deserved that punishment. Anyways, I'm signing off now. I won't be using this account again. Thank you for all of your support and for making me see the hard things. I'll continue with my therapy and hopefully find someone who treats me as well as my ex did. OP's ex has great friends. Lucky him. Also very telling that she doesn't, which says a lot about the two. She still never said what she brought to the table. It always was about her. OP reminds me of my ex-girlfriend. She would do a similar thing where any perceived disrespect would get me shut out for a few days until she was ready to talk about it. It's so exhausting to deal with, and I'm glad that the boyfriend was able to eventually find the strength to just leave. I know how hard it is, because every time I tried to break up with my ex, she would cry and promise to change, and I wanted to believe her, because the times she wasn't like that were incredible. Dealing with this was definitely a formative experience, in terms of helping me draw my lines and boundaries for how I deserve to be treated in future relationships. Also, the part about projecting her bad past experiences with men onto her current great partner reminds me of my current girlfriend. That's been something I've been working on with her over the last 2 years we've been together too. I had a friend and housemate who did this to me. We started off as close friends before we moved in together, then she became controlling and would make sure to lecture and degrade me at any slight mistake. She then started giving the silent treatment for weeks at a time, then started locking us out of the hallway bathroom. There was another one, luckily, but still crazy. I was so happy when she left. Last story. My wife is leaving me for a surgeon. My wife is a nurse at a hospital. She doesn't work in surgery, but she met the surgeon at her place of work. My wife and I have 2 children together. The surgeon she cheated on me with is also married and has 6 children. I think he had children with more than one woman. I'm making assumptions based on his socials I found on my wife's phone. My understanding is that there aren't 6 kids in this surgeon's house full-time. Honestly, I had a feeling something was going on when my wife freaked out when I grabbed her phone. I wasn't even going to check anything like that. I forgot what I had to do on her phone that day, but her reaction to me even grabbing her phone is something I could never swipe from my memory. She's been cheating on me with a surgeon, on and off for a year. She talked about leaving me, making plans of leaving me so she can be with him. They both seem to actually love each other. It's more than physical. They went out on dates out of town too. I remember she said she was going to spend Valentine's Day with the girls, and I saw from hidden photos, on the date of the picture she took with that surgeon, that she was with him on Valentine's Day. What hurts is that my wife called me a loser when she was texting her friends about the affair. She's embarrassed because she works in the medical field and I'm just a warehouse worker. I recently got promoted to warehouse manager and I was excited about it. I thought she would be happy for me, but she was like, "Oh, nice. You're still doing the warehouse gig. Sorry, I'm not a doctor. Sorry, I'm not someone you respect or look up to because of my profession. Sorry, I don't make enough money for you." We were high school sweethearts. She used to love me when I had no job and when I had a job. She loved me when we were young. She's changed so much. She has become so resentful of my income and my job title. I've known this for a while now, but I didn't think she would cheat on me and throw away our family for this guy. She was talking about how she wouldn't take full custody from me because I'm a good dad, and then joked, "Also, I know your house is a 7-bedroom, but we would have way too many kids. It'll feel like we run a Chuck E. Cheese." Yeah, that's her exact text, word for word. God, I'm freaking hurt. Edit to add, suggestions for reporting to HR are not going to happen. They don't care. They aren't doing anything illegal and they aren't breaking any policy. This is seen as a personal issue, like a home issue. The hospital isn't firing anyone for cheating on their spouse. Unless it's sexual harassment or it's not consensual, they don't care. Now for the comments. Your wife is downgrading if she's choosing a man who had kids willy-nilly and is a cheater. His career is irrelevant. This exactly. He is going to cheat on her as well. Or his wife knows and doesn't care, as long as he keeps her in the lifestyle she has become accustomed to as a surgeon's wife. I'm almost want to bet that he doesn't divorce his wife because she'd clean him out if he does. If this is true, hopefully he doesn't tell her until after the divorce with OP is complete, so he and the kids can move on, leaving her with only a shocked Pikachu face when she realizes what it cost her, the loving family, and the life she had but definitely didn't deserve. Congratulations for getting promoted to warehouse manager. You've obviously worked hard, and a Reddit stranger is proud of you even if that horrid woman isn't. Thanks, man. I second that, OP. And on top of that, you are a great father. I'm glad your kids have you to love them as they endure their mother's foolishness. Sending you all the strength I can.